Hey everybody, welcome back to the 170th episode of Taps of Patience. I'm AJ with Subtract Manufacturing on Audacity Micro, here with Harrison at Precision Ingenuity. Hi Harrison, how you doing?
How we doing, AJ?
I have had better days.
Better days?
I have had better weeks.
What happened?
So, refrigerator died. Fine,
Oof.
whatever, get a new refrigerator. We found the cause of death on that one. It may or may not have been wife related.
Oh, no.
It may or may not have involved a screw that was used to hold a shelf bracket in from a different cabinet. But anyway, refrigerator died. Bought a new refrigerator. Got the new refrigerator in. Totally bought the wrong size of refrigerator. We did do something a little bit novel, a little bit risky. Our family may judge us for this one, but I love it, except for the fact that we got the wrong size. We got a refrigerator that's all refrigerator. There is no freezer. Because we already had 2 garage freezers.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So we don't have any freezer inside. It's all refrigerator, and it's actually glorious. It's just so much more space in there. Except it's the wrong size. And so we've decided that at some point here, we're going to wait a month or two. But this one is also going to go join the garage freezers, and then we're going to get the one that's the right size. Fortunately, it was actually a lot cheaper than a normal refrigerator, and even buying 2 is still the same price as buying, a nicer one. So, bought a refrigerator, and then my wife was like, hey, the lawnmower's making weird sounds, and we have a big, 0-turn lawnmower. We have a lot of space. And I took a look at it, and sure enough, the at least one of the spindles is broken, like one of the little spindle mounts, which I know I could fix myself for $200 or $300 probably, but I just don't have time right now. So we sent that off to a repair shop. So that's getting fixed. They're doing a full tune-up on the lawnmower, and they're replacing the blades, they're replacing the belt. All of the maintenance that I've skipped for a while. They're doing some tires. So just everything this lawnmower needed. And that's going to be $1,000. So refrigerator, that we did that. Lawnmower, another $1,000. And now there's a tree on my house.
There's a tree on your house?
There is a tree on my house.
How did you acquire a tree on house?
So the tree just decided it was lonely and wanted to snuggle up against the house. This was not one that I had on my list as being anywhere remotely danger of hitting the house or breaking. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, it kind of just hit the porch. We definitely have had a gutter removed. That gutter's a goner. And it seems to have maybe done some kind of damage right there on the edge. I don't think the main portion of the roof, anything beyond the first 3 or 4 inches, has been damaged, but I'm not sure yet because there's still a tree on it and it is still storming outside. I feel like there was even something else, but I don't remember what it was. This is our third major appliance in the last 4 months too.
Would insurance help out with any of that? Surely with the tree.
Yeah, if we have pretty good insurance, and if the tree did actually cause any major damage beyond the gutter and a little bit of dinging up on the side, yeah, insurance would cover that. The lawnmower and the refrigerator, no.
Yeah, not on those.
Especially if we're responsible for the refrigerator damage.
Yeah.
And, so to make matters worse is when we bought the refrigerator, we paid extra to have them remove the fridge that we had, to remove the dead one. Mm-hmm. Except we couldn't get the fridge out because we didn't know that it was screwed to the wall at the time.
Oh,
and
no.
So we tried for I don't know, probably 10 or 20 minutes with the guys that came, and they were like, we don't know what's going on. You must have, the old people must have glued it in or something was our theory. That they got siliconed into the cabinets. And, we did not suspect that it had been screwed to the wall at that point in time. So they left. So we paid extra for them to remove it. They didn't remove it. We got a refrigerator that doesn't fit. And now I have a broken refrigerator that's in my living room, and I don't know what to do with it. And there's a tree in my house or a tree on my sun porch.
Well, if you follow pop culture, if we get into a nuclear war, You'll have one for your kids and one for you and your wife. Go hang out in the fridge.
Oh, the refrigerator, Indiana Jones style.
But interesting. So, tell me, like, how did you screw it into how did it get screwed? Period. Because, like, usually walls are thick enough that you'd have to have a massive screw, unless it's something thin.
So, yes, the screw is wildly oversized to begin with, but the fridge sat next to the pantry. The pantry had like shelves that roll in and out, which are awful and I hate. I need to replace at some point. And like one of the screws that held that shelf in place fell out or something, or probably kind of wallered its way out. And so my wife came to the shop and got like my drill and a deck screw and put probably a 2-inch screw into that 1/2-inch thick plywood.
Oh no. Did she like hit electronics or something and short it out, or?
No, she must have just barely grazed like a coolant line or something, because it worked for a while, which is why we didn't connect it. It probably took like a month to die after that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, my house is just like in disarray right now. Right before all this happened, we did some minor rearranging, and there's a bed in the hallway right now that we need to get rid of. There was a big like recliner that we just put outside by the side of the road for somebody to take, not thinking about the storm. So that's now wet out there. We're just a mess over here.
Sounds like it.
Yep. And I'm teaching this week on a fairly busy class, so I just don't have much time at home to take care of all of these things together. So how are you doing, Harrison?
Doing good. Not a lot has really changed since we last talked shop-wise. It's just pumping out parts. We did our management review today, and so we started going in and looking back over what's happened over the last quarter, and it was pretty cool because we have been I got to see how many parts we were producing on a monthly basis, like going through some of the reports that we were generating, and guess how many parts we did this last month?
16,492.
Not quite that many, but no.
Didn't you send me that number? What did you sent me a number?
I did send you a number.
I was cheating poorly, apparently.
So let's see if you can get the number then.
13,115.
Yeah, and you can add 250 to that number.
Nice. Just from today.
So yeah, no, it was a lot of parts this last month. So it's been really good kind of getting some of the stuff we've been working on for so long kind of up and running. And we still got a lot of parts to make, but I mean, if at the beginning of the month I had 13,000 I had 20,000 parts that were due at the beginning of the month, and I've done 13,000, and I still have 14,000 parts on order.
Nice.
So
another month's worth.
So another month's worth at our current rate. But it'll take longer than that. Like we just kind of had this last month we had a lot of things that just lined up. So like I don't foresee us getting that high again for a little while. But it was still an insane amount of parts.
Yeah.
In a relatively short period of time. So that was cool. And then other than that, shop's going pretty good. Nothing really major there. I guess the most major thing is that it seems how we're kind of talking about stuff outside of work a little bit is I'm finally upgrading my computer.
Woohoo.
So after I built my original PC that I'm using right now back in 2016 when I was in university, and I built kind of a mid-tier gaming PC back in the day, and it has been struggling because it's a 4-core, 4-thread, decade-old CPU. And so I'm finally going to get it upgraded. I've been collecting parts, so I've got some of my first parts in. I was Intel, and for those that are curious, I'm going AMD this time. And I have an AMD Ryzen 7 9800 X3D. So I'm going to be building a PC kind of around that, and that should kind of future proof me for a little while. Hopefully, I can get another 10 years out of this one.
Yeah.
So,
Though Harrison and I were talking before the podcast, and I just bought a couple mini PCs, one to run Mongo and then one for kind of a general AMRP station. And that mini PC outstripped. Sorry, allergies. That mini PC outstripped his, former gaming PC. So
yeah. Your used cheap PCs for a couple $100 is more powerful than my CPU that I spent a lot of money back in the day on.
Can you do Fusion on that computer?
Yeah. I have Fusion and SolidWorks on it.
So I could, in theory, do Fusion on this computer.
Oh, yeah.
Though you probably have more RAM.
Yeah, I have 32 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah, this only has 8.
That would be your limiting factor, if anything.
Yeah, that would be rather anemic for Fusion.
Yeah. Yeah, I originally had 16 and I upgraded to 32, which bred a little bit of life back into it, but not much. 16 was already a decent enough amount that it wasn't the limiting factor most of the time. So, other than that, I think that's about all I got, realistically. Like, without trying to couple up with some, like, minor things here and there. I saw your video.
So, yep, I published the Mongo video, which is actually already wildly out of date. So, in that video, I was kind of just getting Mongo to the point of loading pallets. At this point, Mongo is basically functional.
Nice. Have you actually run a part with it yet?
I've run dozens of parts with it.
Okay.
So, let's see. I still only have 4 pallet pool positions, but that's just a matter of teaching him where all of them are and 3D printing the little things. I need more work holding. That is on its way, on the slow boat from China and the slow boat from South Africa. So eventually I'll get some, not anchor points, some barnacles from Jamie, and then we will have some, China vices.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to talk to Ken to see if I can get some more fluxes that are Aroa compatible, because I think he has that now. But it's working. My scheduler is working. For the most part, it's reliable. We're still working out some kinks there. For some reason, the biggest issue I'm having is my Wi-Fi router. I'm not sure what is making it unhappy, but I have like a Google Mesh system. And the node that is connected to Mongo likes to crash all the time. And I have to restart my whole network.
Did you ever figure out what happened to it stopping randomly after 20 minutes of no use? We kind of talked a little bit about that last week.
Yes, that was a Windows power saving mode.
Okay. So that was
on my Windows laptop that was causing the problems, which is why I kept banging my head against the wall, because I kept trying to fix Mongo.
Gotcha.
So some sort of weird power saving mode there. That's pretty much solved. I added a ton of kind of auto recovery stuff. Like if it loses the connection, that's what I spent most of my time doing is if it loses the connection or if there's something it doesn't understand, recovering from that, or tools for the user to recover from like some weird scenario. If the machine alarms out for some reason, how do you recover from there? Or if the robot alarms out, how do you recover from there? And that's been like 90% of the work recently, is getting those kind of weird edge cases dialed in. But I don't know. I think it's just about there. The scheduling app is great. Being able to drag and drop pallets around, being able to assign programs to them. For a while, I was worried about the weight capacity that Mongo could hold because I had that issue where it aired out with a slightly heavier pallet than my normal one. But that was before having the software smart enough to be able to dynamically adjust what weight Mongo thought he was holding. And as soon as I added that, it hasn't had a problem.
Yeah.
So I just ordered a scale, so now I can weigh my pallets before I put them in and tell Mongo. And I can probably get a pretty good idea of, vice plus material without using the scale. I set up a webcam so I can watch him. I'm thinking about setting up several other webcam. Oh, yeah. back a step. I set up like a security cam, like a Wise camera, so that I can watch Mongo from afar. I want to get Mongo hooked up with some webcams so that we can do a little bit of documentation. Sorry, I'm going to blow my nose. So I was thinking about having it like maybe on his little arm or something so that he can record transfers for diagnostic purposes later. And actually, I was thinking about it. If I want to be really extra, we have this app that's scheduling the pallets. It's knowing what program's running when. If I really wanted to, I could get it set up to record a video file of the load and unload and the machining. Because remember, the Tormach has a webcam inside its like main casting. And I could save that video along with the inspection data. And so I could be able to send it to a customer. Or even if we want to get really, really extra, I could have it live streaming as long as I'm doing non-NDA parts. And it could send a notification to the customer that's like, hey, your part's on the machine right now. Which is something that no other shop, can or would offer. Maybe not no other shop. I think like Send Cut Send, or there's somebody who live streams their machine running. But it'd be a cool value add service that I could offer. Actually, it's not even a value add. It would be a cool gimmick that I could offer to, maybe lure in some more customers.
Yep.
But I don't know. He's getting there. I need to just kind of spend more time with it, and I'll have it, running 30 pallets overnight or something. That was kind of a joke, but then I sneezed to make it not a joke. I have a long way to go in terms of processes.
How many pallets have you run back to back so far?
Probably like 8 or something.
That's really good.
My weak link right now is my spindle probe and my tool setter. So both of those are having issues, I think, caused by coolant ingress. I kind of think this new coolant I'm running is a little bit stickier than my old stuff, and I think it's causing it to stick. Where I didn't have that issue with the Qualichem, but now that I'm on the like Sterling Cool stuff, it's just a tiny bit stickier, and it seems to be causing issues. So I might need to upgrade to Renishaw or the Marapost the Tormach uses now. I mean, there's a reason they stopped using this on their newer machines. So, which is kind of a bummer because the probing part is expensive. It'll cost, double Mongo to replace. But you have to have reliable probing. You have to have reliable tool breakage detection if you're going to be running overnight. So it is unfortunately what it is.
Yep. Speaking of reliable tool breakage control, I do have one thing that I just remembered.
What's that?
So in an effort to make the UMC a better machine to use, I made it less reliable.
How so?
For automation. So this is kind of a funny one. The UMC, unlike any of the other Haas mills that I've used so far, when you turn off the coolant, because of how the coolant's routed, it drips out the nozzles for a while after you shut it off. And it's very annoying. And so Weston got a bunch of one-way valves to add to all the nozzles to have them turn off. Basically, like when you turn it off, it stops flowing basically immediately.
Yep.
And we started getting errors on our machine constantly where tool breakage control was saying that our tools had pulled out because chips were getting stuck on the tool changer. And when it was dripping, it was
cleaning itself.
It was cleaning itself just enough to make it to where it was reliable. And
That's
so
awesome.
We took it off, and all of a sudden, like the machine kept airing out, and we're like, it's airing out like 3 times with like one chip. Like, what's going on? And it's like, oh, well, we stopped the coolant leaking problem, and now our probe has chips on it, and they're not getting washed off.
That's so funny. So I just started a new class today. It's a group of apprentices from Caterpillar. And when I begin my machining class, I have like AJ's laws of machining, most of which are just reskinned Robin Renzetti quotes. But One of the ones, and this is one I recently added, but one of the ones is don't forget the law of unintended consequences, which is basically to say that if you change one thing, it'll probably change other things that you weren't expecting. And that's what you just did. You got hit by the law of unintended consequences.
Yeah. We tried to make the machine nicer, and we ended up breaking things that we weren't expecting to break.
Because it wasn't a bug, it was a feature.
Yeah. So now my workaround is I still have those one-way check valves in there, but now I've added into my probing routine a pulse of the coolant before it probes.
That makes sense.
And so it solved the issue, but it's funny that I had to go back and add that in. So I actually need to go and edit it a little bit more because I'm turning off the coolant and then I'm going over the tool setter. I'm turning the coolant back on. What I need to do is I just need to leave the coolant on. And then once I'm over top of the tool setter, just turn it off.
Yeah.
That's what I need to do. But I'll mess with that later. This is all something that just happened yesterday. So
do you have an air blast that you could use?
I do not have any air blast anywhere. Only coolant. That said, we are looking at adding air blast to some of our machines. TSA through tool air. Haas has a weird way of doing it.
It's not through spindle air.
No, through spindle air. That might be it. They have something they call it tool air blast.
Yes, the good old tab.
Yeah, that's what they call it. Tab. Tool air blast.
Interesting. I wish I had that, but
so we're probably going to end up adding that to some of these machines for different reasons.
I would like to add a couple air knives to my system. I think Mongo needs an air knife. I think the machine needs an air knife. Basically, Mongo needs to be able to clean the machine. The machine needs to be able to clean itself, and then the machine needs to clean Mongo as he goes in and out. So, 3 knives.
You're going to have a interesting challenge of chip management, I foresee, because at least with the 5-axis, the UMC, it's constantly rotating and turning around, and chips build up all around the machine, but they don't build up on the 5-axis because it's tilting and cleaning itself off as it's moving around.
Yeah. Part of my plan for handling that is this system is not going to be set up for parts bigger than 2-inch cubed. It'll be able to do bigger parts. I ran some soft jaws in it for fun the other day, and those were 4 inches long. But all of my planning, all of my templates, all of the workflow is based around parts that are 2-inch cubed or smaller. And there's just not as many chips in those parts. So far with the pallet system, I've probably done not many, maybe 20 parts total. More if you count soft jaws. But because I was running soft jaws between other parts just to kind of keep the mill busy as I was loading and unloading things, because I only had one of the soft jaw vices.
Mm-hmm.
So it would run the op 2 that I was doing in the soft jaw vices, unload that. Mongo would grab a soft jaw, put a soft jaw in, and while he was running the soft jaw, I would change out the parts in the soft jaw vices. So I don't know. I've ran a couple more parts, but on average, of the parts I've actually made for customers, the 20 or so parts, you could easily hold those in the palm of your hand. It was probably a total of a cubic inch of material removal. Surprisingly, I haven't had chip issues yet.
Yeah.
So if I keep that up, I'll be fine. If I start doing real material removal, more than a cubic inch per part, then I'll, have a run-in with the reality, I think. But
yeah, you'll have to probably get a chip fan. You don't have through spindle coolant, but on that machine, and you don't have the union. That's right.
Yeah.
Is that because it was a prototype machine, or was it a prototype machine?
Yes. Prototype is a strong word. It was a alpha batch, basically. Maybe a beta batch. I don't know. It was more than prototype, but not quite full production mode.
Do all of the Tormachs coming forward have that union installed by default? They just might not have.
They do not have the union by default, but it is field addable.
Oh, You were looking for one. Is it just really expensive?
It's really not even that bad. I think it was like $800 or something.
Oh, well, there's your solution right there.
Yeah, the problem is the ones that can do coolant and air are a lot more expensive.
Oh,
So if I got the one that can do air, then I'm spending $1,600 or something to get that running. Or I could buy the like $800 one and do coolant, but then I need a through spindle coolant pump.
gotcha. For some reason, I thought that they could do both, and I think I remember echoes of this conversation from the past.
Yeah, apparently they don't do both because of lubrication or something.
Yeah.
So
The Haas ones do both because if you do the tab, the through air blast, it says it requires the 300 or 1000 psi coolant option. So my guess is they just have one union that does everything, and so
yeah, they're just buying the $1,600 one instead of the $800 one.
yeah, they're just
and they sell it probably for $5,000.
yeah, probably. So
if you remember, we were looking at this because I was looking at spindle gripping pallets.
yeah,
And then instead I bought a Mongo.
yep. Yeah, but I was thinking more of like just cleaning off the table, having either air or coolant blast it off. Because what we use in our robot with our UMC 500 is we use a chip fan, and then it has a hole through the center of it, and so we run a low like 2,000 RPM with the fan and through spindle coolant, and we blast everything off, and then we come back with the fan and dry everything off.
Yeah, I actually already have the ability to do a chip fan built into my macros. So like in my post, I have just a little checkbox that's like turn on part wash down, and it gives you a couple options. And one of those is change to tool X, and you can specify what tool X is. And then you can specify the RPM. So right now I have it just changing to like my 1/4 inch end mill and turning on normal coolant and going back and forth across the table.
Gotcha.
But it would be very easy at this point to, click a checkbox and put in a fan there. But I think I may just put an air knife on the side of the column, like
Yeah.
around the side of the headstock. That way I'm saving a tool changer position.
Like what Pearson does?
Yep. I'll happily copy what Pearson does.
Makes sense.
Normally you talk while I sneeze. Now you're just letting me sneeze.
I don't really have anything to add right now. Other than like I just assumed Jacob is going to take out the quiet parts, so I'm just staying quiet.
Jacob. Actually,
so
that might be Zencaster.
Yeah, because I just assumed that it'd be easier if I just stay quiet, and then you blow your nose, but you don't actually blow your nose. It goes away.
Well, speaking of things that we never want to go away, we have Patreons. These Patreons help us keep the show running. They're going to pay for our trip to IMTS, and we really appreciate you for that. Fund the meetup, do that kind of thing. Our Patreons include, but are not limited to, Zachary H., CJ at CS Machine and Fabrication, Brian at Headco, Matt at Modern Fuel, Russell M., Joseph E., Brian B., Jacob S., Chris at CDX Plastics, John S., Alex H., Avery M., Chris B. at Puda Creek Precision, Josh at Leighton Machine, Millen Y., Devin C., Christian O., Stephen M., Daniel R., James at Moultrie Made, Ryan at Stratum Manufacturing, Kyle at Kursk Machine, Devin at Sinister Machine Works, Greg's at Frogtown Manufacturing, James N., Ben at Prickly Pear Prototypes, Cam S., Shep at Alderson Prototyping, Jacob at Zon Precision, Jason at JLS Machine, Jason H., Christian Z., Leland B., Freaky Climber, Prescott at 1Z2Z Systems, Trey V., Alexander B., Scott Design the Everything, Jamie at Nautical Work Holding, EJ at Nocturnal Welding, Chris at Zyke Precision, Chris at Thought Bomb Design, and as ever, Jake Brownson.
That was a clean one this week.
That was a clean one, other than me needing to stop and breathe occasionally because I can't breathe through my nose. Reminder, we are going to have a meetup at IMTS on Tuesday at 2 p.m. at the Tormach booth. So Tuesday, 2 p.m., Tormach booth. And I'll probably put an announcement out later on YouTube once I check with Tormach. So be prepared for that. Make sure you bring parts that we can show off and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. It's mandatory for the meetup. It's just a brand new requirement thrown in now. I don't know, listen to all of the other pitches we have for Patreon. Brian at Headco asks, Harrison, if you want a Datron, why not just strap a vacuum table to your 3-axis?
Well, I've thought about that. And my conclusion that I came to was it's not worth it for how much money it costs and how much work it's going to take. I'll just do it the way I'm doing it right now and save the money to get an actual Datron. Because I think if you price it out, it's almost half the cost of a Datron to get like a legit system. And then to use it well, you really need like an air blast minimum MQL, some sort of system like that other than flood coolant. So that'd be even more modification we'd have to do. And we're looking at switching out that 3-axis for a 5-axis. So like it doesn't make sense to dump money into that machine when we're fixing to replace it with a 5-axis. If all goes well.
Fair. I have nothing to add.
So hopefully that answers your question. If you got anything you want to add, let me know and I'll hit you up next week on it on the podcast.
James N says, for Mongo or another pallet system, how do you handle operations after Op 1? Do you make a bunch of bolt-down fixtures, soft jaws, or is there a different solution?
I mean, I have my opinion on it, but I'm curious to hear what you have to say before I jump in.
I can confidently say I am not 100% sure yet, and I will need to do some experimenting. Current theory is do as much work as possible in Op 1, ideally tab off the part if possible with a slitting saw, and then just do Op 2 in soft jaws. I can either, depending on the cycle time, if it's really quick, I can just stand there and load them and run them. If it's a couple, somewhere more than like 15 minutes, I might make 2 vices and then I can kind of swap them out. Or 2 sets of soft jaws and soft jaw vices so that I can swap those out. Heck, maybe, sometimes maybe it'll be worth it to do 5 vices with soft jaws. But the way my soft jaws are set up, they are so cheap that I don't mind making them for like small quantities or runoffs or like runoffs. I don't know what I meant to say there. But like I don't mind making a set of soft jaws for a one-off. That's what I meant to say. I don't mind making a set of soft jaws for a one-off, even if it's a prismatic part. Or it wouldn't bother me if, I'm making 5 parts to make 5 sets of soft jaws. Like that's not really a concern that I have. And those vices are so cheap that I can, afford to have 5 soft jaw vices laying around with jaws loaded up in them, ready to go, where all I have to do is tell Mongo to make the 5 sets. He runs them. I put the 5 parts in the 5 sets, and then he runs those.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll probably figure something out later as well, but that's current plan.
The only thing that I would suggest to that is I would probably not tab off while you're doing a robot.
Because then your parts end up in the machine?
Yeah.
I'm leaving the tab on there.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I did. I was making these parts that they weren't nozzles. I don't know. Maybe they are nozzles. They aren't the other nozzles. They're the other nozzles. They were the nozzle-like parts. And I left like a 5 thou tab or something, and then just snipped them off with flush cutters and then flipped them over and ran Op 2 on the backside.
There's a second part to that question.
Do you plan on one-piece flow or batch operations? I will one-piece flow wherever I can. It'll depend on the logistics of the part. I will definitely prove out a full part before I go and tell it to make 20 of those. That's a lie. I'll definitely load up 20 pieces of material and hit go. But I know that I should prove out a full part before I just hit go. Yeah. I'm not always going to behave, but I will one-piece flow when I can. And I'll just let it run when I don't want to one-piece flow it.
Which brings up a good point that you're going to need to watch out for as you bring in automation. I know I talked about that I did like 13,000 parts this month. But what I didn't add to that, which I will amend at this point because it just didn't come to mind back then, is that we also had our largest scrap this month.
Is this the aluminum anodized ones?
Yeah. And we scrapped 470 parts. And so it came out to like our target goal is less than a 5% scrap rate. And so we made so many parts that even scrapping 470, it came out to like 2%, maybe 3. By far the worst month we've ever had. But it just goes to show that if you have a problem with automation, you can make a lot of scrap
really fast.
very fast.
I am aware. It is very, very quick and easy to make scrap with automation.
Yeah.
My goals for scrap are much lower than that. Not to say that I always hit those goals, but generally once I'm up and running, my scrap rate is very low. It might take me 1 or 2 prove out parts, which I don't consider scrap. But yeah, I'm aware. And that's going to come back to bite me. And it'll be what it is. I'm getting in-process inspection as set up as I can. My only problem right now is my stupid probe is not reliable because it's stupid. So I have all the in-process inspection macros and everything working to where it's giving me a report per part. And it attaches that to that palette. And then I can import that back into Fusion. I actually don't think it would stop if a part was out of tolerance. I don't think it's that smart yet. I can add that. But the problem is there's like a 1 in 5 chance that a probe fails right now just because the probe is being dumb. Yeah. And if I'm doing, 5 or 10 dimensions on a part, it's basically guaranteed that it'll alarm out because of that probe. So I haven't been using that in-process inspection capabilities that I have because probe dumb. So
fair enough.
In theory, I have that baked in. And even with that, I understand that there's a lot of room for things to go wrong, even if you are doing in-process inspection with the probe. But my goal is always 0 defects. That's what I'm wanting to get to, is a 0 scrap rate. I will allow myself a 1 exception of a setup piece. But other than that, 0 scrap rate is the goal. I have a pretty high success rate after that first setup piece, but that's not 100%.
Yeah.
So I'll be working on that. It will probably take me, like realistically, I said it would take me about 6 months to get Mongo up and running. I'm kind of in that time frame. It'll get me 2 years. It'll take me 2 years to get really good at running this thing overnight. That's just kind of what it's going to be. I'm not Dylan with tons of experience going in and like slowly inching his way towards automation. I kind of went from no automation to all the automation overnight, and my systems aren't quite as good as they need to be. And it'll just take me some time to kind of build that back up. I did rebuild all of my container method templates with actual models of the actual vices that I'm using and standardizing work coordinate systems and that stuff. So I'm making progress, but I still have a long way to go.
Yep.
Greg at Frogtown. AJ, looking back on that 2000-ish part job, do you think the outcome would have been different if Mongo was fully up and running? Probably. Yep. Because I wouldn't have felt the need to push speeds and feeds as hard. And I would have gotten more useful time out of the machine. And if you remember right, one of the problems I did have on that job was I had a high scrap rate. So I probably scrapped more parts in that job than the rest of my career combined, just because that was so much higher volume. And it was like 4,000 parts, not 2,000 parts. Thank you very much. I think it was 3,600 actually. So yes, I think that would have helped. Would it have been a magic cure? Maybe not. At least not without all of the knowledge that I have gained since then. But yeah, sure. If I knew what I knew now and I had Mongo, that job wouldn't have been a problem.
Fair enough.
That seems to be the only questions we have today.
Yeah, we had a lot of good ones last week.
We did have a ton. Did we get to all of them?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
And I think almost all of them were it depends last week.
Yes. I don't think we had any depends this week.
No, this week was good.
We had a, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use soft jaws, and that's how I should do it, but AJ doesn't always behave.
And for that first one, I did get everything quoted. So, like, I legitimately looked into that. That wasn't just me being offhanded in that. Like, yeah, I got a quote, and I said no.
Well, also, some of the secret sauce of the Datron is It's a lighter weight, fast machine with a high speed spindle.
Yeah.
Which means there's it's able to take fast, shallow cuts, which have less cutting forces, which behave better with vacuum.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Datron, they tested this part before, and they ran a sampling for us, and they had it under a minute apart. And like, I'm nowhere near that. Like, I think I'm at. Let me see here. Let me do some math. Let's see here. I'm at close to 3 minutes apart right now.
Yeah.
So, like, and that's not including like close to an hour of labor to change out the pallets per run.
Because there's a bunch of screws.
Yeah. I have to put in like 360 screws, close to it, per pallet. And a lot of those are half of those, well, 120 of those are 440, and 120 of those is number 1 by 56, I think. And
that's a standard size, so probably.
And both of those, like the 440s, I could probably get a screw gun to work with, but the 1 by 56, I really can't. So I have to screw those in by hand. Otherwise, I will over torque them and strip them out really fast. And so those you just got to do by hand, and they take a while because one of the problems that we have with those pallets is that even though we're drilling all the way through the part, the little onion skin at the very bottom likes to get stuck down into those holes with the threads. And so, like, you might put a screw in and then it won't make it to the bottom, and you have to go dig out all the little chips in the bottom of the hole. And so that can take a little bit of time. And so, like, it's just, there's a lot of little things about it that, like, we have a reliable process, but it's not fast.
It does sound like a nightmare.
And so that's where a Datron would be really nice, where I wouldn't have to fight any of that. But it's still one of our most profitable high volume jobs. So like, we've still, because we're doing it in such high pallet density, it still turns out that like it's still a very profitable job. It's just a lot of our labor that I want to eliminate. Like, even if the time didn't change, if the only thing was I didn't have to screw stuff in and out, I would still want the Datron just for that. But it's not investing that much money into a vacuum system for the 3-axis machine just doesn't make sense. I'd much rather put that money towards a different machine that's built around that system.
Yeah. It would be nice if you could get rid of some of those screws.
Yeah.
Shigeo Shingo would be ashamed.
Yeah, it's a lot of screws. But I do have a Japanese, we did end up buying a Japanese like a torque wrench that's like this really cute like baby screwdriver torque wrench thing that was ridiculously expensive. Nice. But it's like a really nice like torque wrench that can go down to like a half an inch pound up to like 10 inch pounds or something.
Okay, that's pretty handy. What brand is it?
I don't remember, but like it was like almost $400. So for its size, it was pretty expensive, but it's a really nice, really smooth acting torque wrench, and I really like it.
I need something like that for some of my little vices, because sometimes I do put basically zero torque on those.
Yeah. It is a really nice torque wrench for that kind of stuff.
Oh, this reminds me of a unexpected issue that I've had with Mongo. Not something that he's done wrong, but kind of one of those unintended consequences. The area that I work in has moved because I used to work right in front of the mill, and I needed access to the door and all of my tools to be in arm's reach of the door because that's where you were loading and unloading parts.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's shifted to kind of where his pallet pool is. And I keep finding myself constantly walking around my toolboxes, and I'll probably have to redesign my kind of work cell there.
So instead of having, if is it pen and paper time?
Oh no,
it might be pen and paper time. Do I have my pen?
Can we be a little less phallic this time?
We could try.
Think of the kids.
Oh, here we go. I got a pen. So,
or more phallic. I don't know. It's probably better for the views.
So, if you have your Tormach and Mongo.
Yep, that's how it's set up now.
My guess is you have something that kind of looks like this. Table
Correct.
and table?
I have a U-shaped cell set up around the door of my Tormach, which was great. Super efficient in my old setup.
Can you just rotate this one to here and just make it a walkway to the machine?
Probably.
And then you like your main spot will be next to Mongo, but you can keep like a common table between them. You could go to both, and then your machine only toolbox will stay closer to your machine.
Yeah. The kind of first option is I just do a really wide U-shaped cell. Basically, I have a toolbox to the right of Mongo and then a toolbox to the left of the mill. Or there might be room to put a toolbox kind of behind you if you're, facing Mongo, but that might be kind of in the path. So I don't know. I'll have to just kind of experiment with it some, I think.
Yeah. Because honestly, what you could do is, the way I showed it, it's blocking it off. But if you centered that toolbox off where you could have, see if this makes sense, where you could have a walkway here and a walkway here, and this is just free floating in space. That way you could come in from this corner in, or come in from this corner in, or walk between. That'd probably be the best layout that I could think of.
Yeah, I'll just have to try a couple things. I may need a slightly shorter toolbox or something to make room for that path back and forth while also not being in the walkway that's behind.
Do you have a station? Are you planning on making a station where you can remove your pallets and set them on a table to change out parts?
I'll need that as well. Right now, I bring the vices over to. I bring the pallet vices, like the little ones that are in Mongo. I bring them over to the big red vice that I have soft jaws in that I use to change tools. That has my little BT30 grippers, and I just grab the pallet in that same vice, which is not ideal. It works. It's actually not bad, but it could be better. So I have a manual base that I could be using for that. Or I may just buy a cheap import pneumatic base just so it's faster and just bolt that thing down to something solid and then just have a button or a lever. Or even a foot pedal might be kind of cool so that I can easily swap them out.
Yeah.
I'm also going to need some a blow off station where I can put the vice or whatever in a bucket and then clean it off, maybe with one of those downdraft table thingies.
Yeah.
Because right now I don't have anywhere to clean the vices and the pallets because I used to do that in the machine, but now the machine's running all the time, or at least running while I'm trying to switch things. So I have just been dumping them off in a bucket, which is fine, but not great.
Have you seen Pearson's latest video?
Yes, I just watched it.
You should probably do the little trade thing that he did on the front of his robot.
Yeah, I would. At first glance, I was I don't think that'll work on Mongo, but I haven't investigated. I should tape on some cardboard and see.
Yeah, because that'd be really, really nice to do.
Yeah. Or also air knives on the door to try to keep as much of the mess inside the machine as possible.
Mm-hmm. You're going to need more air at this rate.
I barely use my compressor. It's not being taxed in the slightest.
You have a big enough tank, a big enough buffer that, okay.
Yeah, I have an 80-gallon tank and one machine running.
That's true.
It was keeping up when I was sandblasting, and this is way less air than sandblasting.
Well, depending on how many blow-offs you add, you might catch up.
Yeah, fair. As long as I'm not changing pallets too often.
So, any thoughts or desire to add more machines? Or is this all you're going to be doing for a while?
I mean, Mongo's sitting idle most of the time still.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get him kind of up and running more efficiently. And if he really ends up busy, then like, yeah, sure. More than likely, I'll be adding more capabilities more than more volume. So, put in maybe I'll get like a Swiss lathe, or maybe even like one of those kind of smaller gang style lathes, like they're like the GT27s or something like that you see a lot. Those are kind of cool. Or 5-axis.
I was going to say, do you see yourself getting a 5-axis at any point?
Yeah, I'd probably still go to a bigger shop before then. But I mean, realistically, prior to Mongo, I was flirting around with around 20,000 in profits per month, or I could do that. It would be a busy month, but that was possible. I don't really need more than that. So it kind of comes down to making the workflow easier. I want to take that, fairly busy, difficult month that was 20,000 and make it an easy month.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm fine. Like I can very happily live off a half of that. So,
mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, if you gave me $100,000 to invest in Audacity right now, I would invest it in Subtract. Like that's the real story here is Audacity. I want to get to kind of autopilot. It can be that nice little cash cow that I live off of, and then we can milk occasionally to, feed Subtract. That's the point of Audacity right now. So
fair enough. Well, that's about all I got.
Okay, I had an idea.
Okay,
that I want to pitch. So this falls into the category of AJ has a solution and is looking for a problem.
Okay.
So I realized I have basically done all the bits and pieces of this individually as like little experiments or little test projects. So it would not be that hard to string them all together.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a website. On that website, there is some sort of configurator, right? You can slide some knobs and dials, and you can, custom create or custom modify something, some sort of little product, some widget, whatever. You could set that up. It could send off the design files to Toolpath. Toolpath could then provide the price to the customer. The person could hit buy right there with the Toolpath price.
Mm-hmm.
Toolpath could send the G code to Mongo. Mongo could make the part. While it's doing that, it could send a link to the customer with the video of the part being made right away. Mongo finishes the part. I don't know, maybe there is a human in operation or two in here to, switch to Op2 or whatever. But then, Mongo does the other half of the part. Mongo still knows who the customer is, sends them an email or a link when the second side's being machined, and then AJ packs it and ships it off. And if you were trying to automate all parts with the automated cam, that would be very, very difficult. Like if like, hey, this is AJ's job shop, give me a part and we'll automatically program it and machine it. That would be basically impossible. But if you could limit it to a very small range, and especially if you were in control of the solid file the whole time and they're just sliding parameters in Fusion, you could have the stock ready to go. The program would already be mostly proven out and safe. Mm-hmm. And then you're just, running the machine with that slight variation of your parametric thing. But I have no idea what I would make.
Yeah.
It would be cool, though. I have great solutions. Someone find me a problem. I have a hammer. I need a nail. But I could get that up and running, I think, in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that'd be cool. What would make something like that, like, really cool is if people placed an order, like, they got screenshots or they could watch it live.
Watch it live on YouTube.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Especially if it happens in, like, within minutes of you ordering.
Yeah. That'd be so cool.
The only good use case that I have thought of this so far is something in the microfluidics realm, where like a lot of the parts I make are microfluidic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could, basically have like a PCB designer for microfluidics, and then it just goes and it makes your part straight away.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of in the core competency of things that I machine all the time. And then also, I think, it is the kind of thing that people would want custom relatively fast as you're trying to, design your whatever widget. Problem is, I just don't know enough about that world. Like, I basically just explained everything I know about microfluidics. I make a bunch of them. They tend to be flat acrylic parts, but it has fairly limited tooling, and it's kind of there's a bunch of kind of repeated features that I think would be fairly easy to build some sort of tool for it. I don't want to do like an EDC widget again, even though that would be the easiest thing. Maybe I'll do one as a proof of concept for fun. We'll bring back the pry bars or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I have a solution. I need a problem now. If anyone has any ideas. I thought about doing challenge coins, but again, like those are done so much better on a laser.
Yeah.
Branding irons actually wouldn't be bad. The only problem would be you basically couldn't program the branding irons automatically.
How so?
Because nobody has good artwork. It's all trash that everybody gives you all the time. That was all the work with the branding irons.
Gotcha. Well, you just make it to where it only accepts SVGs and it has to pass.
So the problem is you could have two SVGs that look identical, and one could be garbage and one could be great.
Yeah, but if you could have it generate a model, like you upload the SVG and then you check it by generating a model, and if it produces valid geometry,
that's true, or it just fails otherwise.
Yeah. So
honestly, it might even be easier to do just a black and white image.
Yeah. But just something like that where it basically you generate a model and then they approve that model.
Yeah, that's not a terrible idea actually.
Based off of what they've uploaded. And so like if they see that there's a defect in it, that's on them if they approve it at that point.
Yeah.
Like they upload a model or they upload a file, you generate a model, and then if you could find a way to simulate that model stamping something, you'd be like, this is an approximation of what it would look like.
I bet ChatGPT can figure that out.
Because they also have to invert the... Do you have to invert the image?
You do.
I
don't remember if you remember me making branding irons, but that was a very common mistake of mine.
Was how you flip it.
Yeah, so, or forgetting to flip it.
Yeah, and so like you could add all that stuff in. So
that's not a terrible use case for it.
No.
I might do them out of aluminum this time instead of brass. But that would be cool.
Yeah.
Jacob's going to yell at me.
You just have standardized sizes at that point.
Yeah. Well, actually, it doesn't even have to be as long as it's within standardized stock.
Yes, that's true.
I guess for Op2 work holding.
Op2 is the only thing I was thinking, but as long as it's a rectangle, then it could be... As long as the standardized shape, you could always, at that point, then you can use any soft jaws or just like a regular vise. If it's a rectangle, at that point, you don't need soft jaws.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's cute that you think I have a regular vise.
Well, I mean, even a regular, not length vise, but like just something that is self-centering.
I don't have a single non-serrated vise, other than I guess my 6-inch Haas Kurt vise, but
I mean, if you had a standardized size, you could do the body first, and then you could just have like a flux vise that has different aluminum jaws with different spacings on them, and as long as it that go in 1/4-inch increments, you just switch out to whichever ones you need, and then do the engraving after that.
It's actually not a bad idea. So I have this bad habit of vibe coding things while I'm teaching. You're
welcome, Jacob.
I might have a project. Jacob was looking at my Mongo code base the other day, like the GitHub page, and he just sounded so disappointed with me the whole time.
Oh, really?
He was like, "Why are you doing it this way? No, don't do it that way."
That's funny.
Him and Ken were just going through it and just tearing it apart. Like,
I haven't vibe coded anything yet.
well,
I
don't
need
show
to.
Jacob. He's mean. I believe his final words on it were like, "I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. Good luck, AJ." No, he was actually nicer than that. He was like, "You know what? It's doing weird things. It's not how I would do it. It's working. Just let it be." I did actually take some of his advice though before, and I didn't know it was doing this, but I told it wasn't allowed to put programs on the Tormach. Like it wasn't allowed to run a file on there. And so it's a way of getting around that was opening a command shell to it, and it was feeding the programs through line by line. So like instead of storing it on the computer, it was storing it, or instead of storing it on the controller, it was storing it on my computer and basically drip feeding Python to it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I had to go to ChatGPT, be like, "Okay, buddy, it's fine. You can put the file on the controller. It's okay."
That's funny. You have you done a YouTube video on like vibe coding in general?
No, I keep meaning to.
Because I would find that interesting, because I find everything you've been able to accomplish fascinating, and like how much you've been able to do with AI coding, that I would love to see something on that.
My problem is I think that video needs to involve Justin. And Justin is a person who is not me, even though I'm sure he would be happy to do it with me. And because Justin is a person who's not me, I never get around to it because I have to talk to somebody.
Got anything else?
At some point, I should have some barnacles, but my barnacles are not here yet.
All barnacles.
Yep. And so I have 5 barnacles on the way, and then 17 import vices. So I do need to get more shelves set up. And then my next step, I think, is figuring out automatic tool swapping with Mongo. So I have the first pallet pool Tormach, as far as I know. I said that on the internet and nobody's corrected me, so it must be true. Now I want the first Tormach with a 100 tool ATC.
There you go.
I keep buying tool holders too, which is annoying. I've decided to basically Kanban tool holders. So instead of tearing tools down when I need to make something, I just buy more tool holders.
Fair enough. All right, guys, we've reached the end of the podcast. And so now we want to thank you for hanging out with us. Please like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember, that is a requirement for IMTS. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you guys next week. With taps and patience, we'll seize the day. Taps and patience, our daily grind. In this machine shop, we'll always find joyous struggles, all intertwined. Taps and patience, one of a kind. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember, that is a requirement for IMTS. We will be checking credentials at the gate to the Tormach booth or something. Make sure. Are you on the list? No. Are you on the list? No. We need to see who would be a good bouncer for our Tormach booth meeting up.
I'm gonna go with Ken.
Ken? There we go. So Ken, you better be
nice though.
Ken needs to be subscribed to the podcast so we can have him as a bouncer.